Okay, so let's talk a little bit about these Trackmaster tracks. I've got some wooden rails, but they're not part of the Trackmaster merchandise. And I've got some two like little track road pieces that I use for the narrow gauge railway, but we'll get to those another time. But anyways, so as you can see in the screen in front of you, there are three types of tracks: the old Trackmaster track, the newer Trackmaster track from the early 2010s, and the Superstation track from 2018. So I'm going to share an interesting fact of what I think about all these tracks. So let's start with the old Trackmaster track. So back in 2018, I was really young, and the only type of tracks I had were only like a few minor track pieces from different sets. I only had like a few sets, and I kind of made like a small layout or something, and I kind of wished sometimes that I had old Trackmaster tracks, but yet again, I was also kind of happy that I did have some tracks, or else I'd have nothing at all. But then, like, later on that year in 2018, one day that year, my mother and dad were out of the house, and they came back home, and they had come from a yard sale, and they had this big box for me. When I opened it, there were like a bunch of old Trackmaster stuff in there. The owners at the house didn't want it anymore, and I was super excited. And there was like a whole bunch of there, like thousands, maybe not thousands, but like 500 pieces or something. And like I tested them all out. It was a lot for me. There were a bunch of pieces that I really enjoyed, and I still use a whole bunch of pieces from random Trackmaster sets from old Trackmaster sets from that yard sale to this day. Plus, I've also bought some other old Trackmaster sets in addition to my collection. Now let's talk about the Superstation track, since I've already said that all the tracks I had before the old Trackmaster tracks were the newer Trackmaster tracks. So let's talk about the Superstation track. So basically in Christmas 2018, I was spending the night at my dad's parents' house, and during Christmas one year, I think it was 2018, I opened a huge box, and it was a Superstation. And not only did I use the Superstation sheds as Tidma sheds, but I also used some of the tracks, and I have them in a track layout that I've built for Season 5. And speaking of that track, I'm going to be doing a track layout review on September 9th, which is the 2-year anniversary since I made my first episode of my series, A Lucky Little Red Couple. I don't know if you should watch it because I was kind of young back then, but yeah, it's my first episode that I've ever made, and it was released on September 9th, 2020, and it's a really cool, I guess, episode. Like, I kind of feel nostalgic about it a little bit, but whatever. You can watch it if you want to, but I don't recommend it. But anyways, so yeah, like basically, the classic vibes are kind of catching up to me a little bit for the old Trackmaster track, and it's it's an oldie but gold, and the sets are oldies but goldies. But you gotta admit, all of the tracks that I have certain pros and cons that I deal with. And I really love to use tracks in my series. And I've used a lot of them in my series so far, and I continue to use them to this day. So anyways, I hope you understand this little like description about the Trackmaster tracks I used, and make sure to look out for the new track layout review for Season 5 and possibly the future on September 9th, 2022. The 2-year anniversary of when I had posted my first ever episode of Word.cu Soto Stories on September 9th, 2020.